бойна голова, а когда бойна голова закипала на раз, струна припалил.
Everyone called him a monster, a 130-pound powerhouse of pure muscle that looked like he was built for destruction. But when the intruder climbed through that window, they realized how wrong they were. Hero was an American Bully XXL with a face that screamed danger and a heart that whispered peace. Yet he found himself behind cold metal bars because his previous owner was a coward who mistook gentleness for weakness. He's a pit bull-type beast, but he's scared of a butterfly, the man had roared before abandoning him forever. They said he was too broken to protect anything, but one terrifying night at 3 a.m. proved that a dog's loyalty isn't measured by his bark, but by the lengths he will go to shield the ones he loves. The day Hero was dumped at the High Hill shelter was the darkest moment of his life, a scene of pure betrayal that would break even the strongest soul. His former owner, a man whose hands were only known for intimidation, dragged the massive dog inside, shouting that this giant was a failure because he trembled at the sight of a kitten. When the man turned to leave, Hero instinctively tried to follow, seeking the only leader he knew, but the man raised a threatening hand, a gesture of violence that Hero didn't even understand. The shelter workers saw the terror in the dog's eyes, oceans of abandonment drowning in years of rejection, and stepped in before the situation turned physical, officially processing Hero as a difficult-to-place case. For months, he sat in that kennel, his massive frame collapsed onto the cold floor like a fallen oak tree, being passed over by everyone who feared his intimidating size. Then came Elena and Mark, a couple who weren't looking for a weapon or a living security system, but a family member to fill their home with love. As they walked past the barking, energetic dogs, they stopped in front of Hero's cage, struck by the contrast of his battle-scarred appearance and his incredibly soft, sorrowful eyes. When the worker warned them that Hero had been returned and was allegedly cowardly, according to his records, Elena felt a pull in her chest, a connection that defied logic. If you're watching this and haven't subscribed yet, I have to say I'm a little heartbroken. Stories like this need your support. Hit that subscribe button right now, you won't regret it. Now, back to what happened next. The couple ignored every warning, signed me adoption papers with shaking hands, and brought the gentle giant home. The moment they arrived, Hero did something that left them speechless. Instead of exploring, he ran with every ounce of strength left in his 130-pound body until he reached the living room rug and simply collapsed, falling into a sleep so deep it looked like he'd fainted, leaving Mark and Elena laughing through their tears as they realized he finally felt safe. Weeks passed, and Hero became the shadow that followed Elena and Mark through every room, his massive tail wagging hard enough to rattle the furniture whenever they entered. He was the definition of a gentle giant, a living fortress who preferred napping near the coffee table to guarding the perimeter, confirming the shelter's report that he had no aggressive bone in his body. However, the true test of his character arrived on a humid Tuesday night when Mark was hundreds of miles away on a business trip, leaving Elena and Hero alone in the quiet house. As they sat on the couch watching television, the atmosphere suddenly fractured. A sharp, metallic scratching sound erupted from the back door, followed by the heavy thud of someone trying to force the lock. Reality glitched for a moment as Elena realized a burglar was attempting to break in, and her heart began to hammer against her ribs like a prisoner desperate to escape. She stood up, her hands shaking so violently she could barely grip a heavy ceramic vase she grabbed for protection, and she instinctively stepped in front of Hero, thinking she had to protect the cowardly dog who was allegedly afraid of everything. She looked down at him, expecting to see him trembling or hiding under the table, but what happened next left her completely paralyzed with shock. Hero didn't cower, he didn't run. Instead, he underwent a total transformation that seemed to rewrite the laws of nature right before her eyes. The gentle, sleepy dog was gone, replaced by a sentinel of pure power, as he slid his massive body between Elena and the door, positioning himself as a living shield. The intruder managed to crack the door open, but he didn't find a defenseless woman. He found himself staring into the eyes of a nightmare. Hero's lips pulled back slowly, revealing teeth that could crush bone, and a growl erupted from deep within his chest, a primal, earth-shaking warning that rattled the very walls of the hallway. He wasn't just barking, he was a powerhouse of protective instinct, his eyes locked onto the threat with a terrifying intensity as saliva dripped from his jaws and his fur stood on end like a jagged mountain range. The burglar froze, his face turning pale as he realized he had miscalculated his target. And before Hero could launch himself forward, the man turned and fled into the night, the sound of his sprinting footsteps fading into the distance. The silence that followed was heavy, the kind that sucks the air out of your lungs, until Hero slowly turned back to Elena, his aggressive stance evaporating instantly as he let out a soft whimper and nudged her hand with his wet nose. She sank to the floor, wrapping her arms around his massive neck and sobbing into his fur, realizing that the dog everyone called a coward was actually the bravest soul she had ever known. Hero didn't lack courage, he simply needed something worth fighting for. And that night, he found his purpose as the guardian angel of the only people who ever truly loved him. Today, Hero still sleeps most of the day and might still jump at a sudden noise, but Elena knows that if danger ever knocks again, her 130-pound miracle will be the first one at the door. If this story touched your heart and you're still not subscribed, please don't wait any longer. Hit that subscribe button. What would you name this incredible dog? Drop your ideas in the comments. If this story moved you, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these incredible stories.